All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Sales Pipeline Radio. I'm your host, Matt Heinz. Excited to have you all here with us on another Thursday. If you are listening, watching, subscribing, downloading, thank you so much for doing so. I think we're close to 300,000 downloads, Sal, of Sales Pipeline Radio.
That's awesome.
You can always get every episode, past, present, and future, Sales Pipeline Radio at salespipelineradio.com. Today, very special guest. Some of you may have seen this from LinkedIn yesterday, but I'm excited to have our new business development manager, Sal LoSauro, join us on Sales Pipeline Radio. Sal, how's it going, man?
It's doing great, man. So good to be here, Matt.
I know this isn't really getting the band back together because we've never worked togetger directly.
No.
I mean, we've sponsored parts of sort of BWMX, and you and I have known each other for a very long time. But like as you saw in the post yesterday, like, life is short. You work with people you enjoy, and
Yep.
I know for a fact that like so many people in B2B would say that and have said that about you and just the relationship they have with you. And, we're all here to, make a buck and sort of, pay our rent and everything, but also just working with good people is important. And I thought about that when we were sort of on the hunt for a biz dev manager. And it's the first thing I thought about again when we sort of made it work. So
I
welcome,
appreciate
Sal.
that.
Glad to have you
so
here.
much. And I agree wholeheartedly because it is. I mean, we talk about it all the time, right? We're not, we're not curing cancer, and we should, helping each other out, working together. And the people, especially the people you work with, right? We spend more time with one another than a lot of times we do with our own family. So
Yeah.
working with people that, are rubbing you the wrong way is not the way you want to be.
Well, and it's it doesn't mean that things are necessarily going to be easy, right?
Oh, no.
But I think it's even more important to have people that are values fits, that that you're willing to sort of say, okay, this is hard, this is gnarly, but we're going to work on it together, and we're going to be good people together as we go through it. A friend of mine posted something. It was a few months ago, maybe almost a year ago. It was about 6 months ago. So it was the 20th anniversary of a startup we were at going public, and it was in the real estate space, and it was a lot of fun. And in the moment, it was hard. Like there was a lot of really hard stuff, and I was earlier in my career, and I wasn't really good at sort of like managing all that stuff. But the post was about the people and about sort of recognizing 20 years later how special that group of people was. And sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I think having that, like you said, like, having a group of people that you enjoy working with, that you have a level of trust with to go forward and to figure out hard problems and to not always be right, but to make adjustments as you go, I think it's everything.
And I agree. I mean, when we first started, going back to with Andrew with G3 Communications, and we launched when he started the company, the big thing we always talked about was finding people that we wanted to work with. People, we just call it the give a shit factor. Like, the people care about what they're doing, right? Because it's important. And it's not always going to be easy, but when someone, you have someone's back and they have yours, it makes a world of a difference. And it's also nice when you're done, like you get over that hump, that there's that obstacle in front of you, and then you work together as a team, you get through, you're like, oh, I mean, you come on the other side, you're a better person because of it, and you're a stronger team because of it.
That's right.
And again, there's a lot of that I think sometimes people don't, take the time to appreciate. I mean, there's still people. I was actually just talking to an old colleague of mine where, when you're just happy to see them succeed. Like that makes you feel good. Like, because they're your family. Like, oh wow, you saw something, like you see on LinkedIn, like this person just within this new position. You're generally happy about it, right? Actually, I had gotten a call. Somebody, again, a friend of mine who's with us at G3 at the Management Report. She was looking to move on, and she said, "Can I be a reference?" I said, "Absolutely." The person called me. I said, "Congratulations, you just hit the employee lottery with this one," because she is fantastic. So it is good to see. So.
Yeah. So speaking of, you talk about sort of demand gen report, people see you, so like remember BWMX and content to conversion and the long history you guys had. For the people, I mean, a lot of people watching it, it's like, hey, Sal's back. This is awesome. But for those that don't know you, I mean, you've been in B2B for a very long time. Can you talk a little bit about your experience and background?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I first, I had worked with Andrew in the years past before, when he launched, G3 Communications. One of the first publications we had at the time was Demand Gen Report. Now, remember, this is when marketing automation is really in its infancy. Okay, so I think it was Joe Payne was a real big proponent of having a publication that sort of legitimized the space, because he was old school. Like, and back in the day when I first got into B2B publishing, I mean, every vertical had their own publication, typically an event. So that's the sort we had come from. We had come from VNU, which was Miller Freeman back in the day.
Yep.
So we launched, and I had been in print advertising for a long time.
Yeah.
We launched Demand Gen Report, And I remember Joe coming to us and saying, like, I have a $10,000 budget. I'm expecting you guys to drive leads. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh boy, you want
Mhm.
results? This is new, right?
Mhm.
So, and that was, I mean, that was basically Marketo and Alco. Those are two back in the day. And then
Yeah.
as things progressed, all the different, the different disciplines that kind of got added on, and it's amazing because through all that, the same things like we changed between ABM and go to market and all these different buzzwords, but the one thing remains the same is the connection between sales and marketing and
Yep.
making sure that those folks are all, are in line and doing the same thing and working towards a common goal. And then after a few years of having the publication and again having that base is when we decided we had gone back to our roots of, you know, events really bring people together.
Mhm.
And nothing, it's almost like, it's nothing makes people feel closer. You can actually complain about and share your horror stories and your love stories about how things are on your job. And
Yep.
marketers are no different. They want to hear what their peers are doing. So, and that you're right. Back in the day, it was in Manhattan. It was a content to conversion conference,
Mhm.
and we had it it was at the Time Center in Manhattan, and I think we had 100 people back then. That was
Mhm.
we had like 5 or 10 sponsors, if that. I think it was like 6, 7 sponsors, and then every year we sort of grew, and then content to conversion because content marketing too was in its infancy, right? That was like a
Mhm.
new buzzword as well.
That's right.
And then we sort of started adding on the different things, which grew to the B2B marketing exchange.
Mhm.
We had, I don't know if you probably remember that it was Sirius was always out in Scottsdale back in the day,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it was a great place to have the event because it was
Mhm.
like everybody in California was tired of having all the events out in San Francisco because they live there, and
Yeah.
people on the East Coast want to get out of the. I live in New York. I don't want to be here in February,
Yeah.
so Scottsdale was a perfect place for that. So that's how that was born. And again, I think it's funny when Emerald eventually acquired B2BMX, Demand Gen Report, G3 Communications, and they were closing out the office. And I asked if I could take one of the signs. It's a B2BMX. It's a picture from one of our last events when we were still G3. The space is something I've always, been fond of and sort of
Yeah.
grown up with. So it's great to be back.
Well, it's amazing. You talk about sort of like when you guys got started and it was marketing automation. It was the beginning of like drip campaigns and having something beyond just batch and send. And you think about like I think about all the different content to conversion B2B MXs, all the different demand gen report themes you've had over the years. There's always been these blips of like I'm not going to call them fads, but just, I guess like
Yep.
innovations and leaps in how we do things, right? Like marketing automation was one, social selling became one, ABM became
Yep.
one. AI right now is, dominating conversations on everything from go to market systems to org design and everything else. But you mentioned a commonality that is still and will still go. And even as robots to stellar robots, humans are at the center of these transactions, and
Yep.
to be able to have a direct relationship, a direct conversation, to be able to get to the heart of what people care about. One of the things always struck me with you is that we weren't having conversations about sponsorships, we weren't having conversations about buying something. It was about objectives, it was about emotions, it
Yes.
was about sort of the things that sort of just drive us, right? And it
Right.
made, you talk to 100 salespeople and 99 of them are going to talk about their products and services. You've always invested in the human element and the relationships. And I think that's crazy important.
Yeah, and again, I always tell people my job is to make your professional life a little bit easier. I can't handle your personal life, but your professional life, at the end of the day, that's what I'm here to do. So the
Yeah.
idea is, what are you trying to accomplish? How can I best help that? Try to keep it on budget. So again, we know how tough that can be because budgets are near and dear to our hearts. How we can get the results you're looking for in budget, on time, and again, work together as a team. And again, at the end of the day, people like to work with people who they get along with, understand that empathy I think is an important thing, which I think a lot of times we sort of people forget. Like everyone else has other things going on in their lives. Like how can we make the time we have together, useful and productive? And that's at the end of the day what we're trying to do, right?
Well, let's double click on that. We've got today on Sales Platform Radio Sal LoSauro. He is the business development manager for Heinz Marketing, and so doing a little
Got a
little
nice
media
ring to it.
tour. LinkedIn yesterday, doing the pipeline today, being doing the podcast today. This idea of sort of empathy, right? I think is really important, and in Brent Adamson's new forthcoming book, the Frame Making Sale, he talks about building confidence. And if you look at the sales and marketing materials for a lot of companies, it's intended to try to build confidence in the product and confidence in you as the seller. And Brent's point is what you need to be doing is helping prospects build confidence in themselves, confidence in the decisions they're making, confidence in the priorities they are setting, confidence that they're doing the right thing for themselves and their business. And I think like he's got a bunch of research to back that up. I think good natural sellers, I think, are good at that anyway because they're thinking about the other person. Can you talk about that empathy and confidence and how those work together, just as a general go-to-market best practice?
Absolutely. I mean, again, as I mentioned, like knowing that the person you're working with understands that, again, not every day is going to be a great day. There's going to be some struggles, right? We talked about that when you work with your colleagues, but also with your clients.
Yeah.
How I can basically listen to what you're saying. We talk about that all the time. I tell my kids all the time, we got two ears and one mouth. We should listen more, right? Listen,
Yeah.
what's going on? How can I help you? And a lot of times it's, people don't necessarily know what they need, but they just know they need help. So I'm trying to listen for those, what that means, what you're looking
Mhm.
for. And sort of like, okay, keying off of that. Okay, here's what we're trying to accomplish. How can we make that happen? Um, and again, the confidence part of it, if you listen, I'm a big Yankee fan, and
Mhm.
known for his, his heroics in October. But his whole thing was always, I'm confident in October because he looked at every at bat like it was the same approach he took the first day of spring training was the approach he took the last game of the World Series. And he said he put the work in so he had the confidence. So again, you're working with people, you're empathizing, you're hearing them, you create this relationship, this trust with one another. That goes a long way when trying to accomplish goals. And that's at the end of the day, it's what we're trying to do, help folks to accomplish their goals.
It is still very much a relationship business, and what I've learned in, 16, 17 years of selling, Heinz Marketing Consulting is that, especially when you're selling people, there's a lot of that confidence building goes on, the relationship building, the trust factor, the fact that, like, I trust who I'm talking to, I trust who they represent, I trust that what I'm getting from them is going to be consistent with what I've heard. It's not the bait and switch of,
Yeah.
oh, you talk to the leader and then you get the junior interns, but to
No.
have that trust and credibility by investing in the relationships, right? And
Yep.
sometimes it takes time to build those relationships. Some people you meet for the first time. I mean, what are some of your keys to really establishing the foundations of good relationships in B2B selling?
Yeah. I mean, I always tell when I'm working with folks, it's always nice to have the one back to pat, the one ass to kick. I'm the guy. I don't shy away from it. I'm the one that, like, I'm here to help you out, and you're dealing with me. And at the end of the day, you know that I have your best interest at heart. So when there's an issue, which again, issues are going to arise, and I think knowing and understanding that it's not all going to be rainbows and unicorns. I tell my wife all the time, my kids, they got to understand sometimes there's going to be struggles, right? But we're going to get through it together.
Mhm.
um, I just think there's a genuine, again, a genuine. I tell people all the time, I can tell pretty much, I'm a straight shooter. What you get is what you see. Unfortunately, this is, sometimes this is it. I have a face for radio and a face for emails, but you deal with it. But at least you know you're going to get with me all the time. And I think a lot of times, like you had said, it's not that bait and switch. You know that Sal comes to the table every time with a certain set of of skills, and I'm
Mhm.
going to listen to you. We're going to talk through things, and we're going to work through together. A lot of times, I think where people get in trouble where they over promise and under deliver. I think there has to be that baseline set, like, here's what we're going to do. And again,
Mhm.
one of the things when joining the team, I like, on the site when we talk about the culture of Heinz, where,
Mhm.
again, this is our livelihood, it's not our life. And I,
Yeah.
I want to work hard while we're here to make sure everybody's happy. But that includes us as well, right?
Yeah.
We all want to be happy, and we all want to make sure we're doing good work. So there's a pride that goes as well. I'm the son of an immigrant. My father always taught me, when you work hard, there's a pride in it. There's like
Mhm.
building something. If it's with your hands, or you know the way we do it electronically now, there's a pride that you take in the work you've done. Again, I'm proud of the work I did with Demand Gen Report and the event and the B2BMX and how I built that. So I sort of take that same set of values and bring it to everything I'm doing moving forward. I think hopefully it shows.
Oh, it does. It does. I mean, I've known you for a long time, but it's been really fun to watch Maria, who's our COO, and who runs our growth efforts, sort of to get to know you as well. And sort of the
Yeah.
deeper she goes, the more she's like, this guy fits here, right? Like when we talk a lot about our values,
Thank you.
our stated purpose as a business to
Yeah.
positively impact careers and lives by enabling work that matters. You do that every day, and some people hopefully pay you for that, but you do that every day in the value deposits you make, in the content you create, the relationships you make, the impact you have just on people around you. And again, sometimes you don't get paid directly or immediately for that, but it's the right thing to do. And I think especially as a services business, we have to have that mentality, and we think about and celebrate those values on a regular basis. And so, always looking for people that are going to be values fits and culture adds. Sal, we are mostly a West Coast team. We're excited to have someone with a little East Coast spirit in them now, to broaden out the team. So, Sal, I'm so excited you're on the team now. You're going to start to see Sal online a lot more often. You're going to see him at events moving forward. We're going to get him back out on the road. But if you worked with Sal before, look forward to having you guys engage again. And thanks so much for being on the show here today.
Thank you very much, Matt. And again, I'm looking forward to working with you and the team. It's everything leading up has been fantastic. So I think it's going to be a very, very good addition for First Bowl. So thank you very much.
Yep, I'm sure of it. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching today. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode of Sales Pipeline Radio. Until then, take care. Have a good rest of your week.
Bye, everybody.